Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the new Infinite Dragon Ball history stage. So this is obviously a brand new Infinite Dragon Ball history stage. For those of you who don't know, Dragon Ball or Infinite Dragon Ball history stages are usually thematic stages. Generally speaking, they start off weak and end up being relatively difficult, although sometimes they do kind of start off a little bit harder and then get less difficult. They have some interesting designs around them. A lot of the times they do come with challenges as well. So for example, this one, the challenge is to use 3 artificial life forms units and also to use 3 Wicked Bloodlines units. Now this is actually relatively achievable because of the Metal Coolers. Metal Cooler is a artificial life form and Wicked Bloodline unit, so you can kind of get things done pretty easily. In terms of team build, I've gone for something that's relatively good. I wouldn't say this is a weak team, although I do feature some decent free-to-play units. That's not to say this is an easy team to put together, but generally speaking, I think it's a pretty achievable team for a lot of players. Obviously, in terms of team build, I have the Prime Metal Freezer, which is obviously a free-to-play unit. I have the Tech Cooler free-to-play unit. I have the Strength Metal Cooler, who is a free-to-play unit. So all looking pretty solid. I've then added in the LR Battlefield Metal Cooler, just basically for the ability to have another artificial life forms unit. And then my team is being led by the AGL Metal Cooler. Now if you don't have AGL Metal Cooler, you can use the physical one. If you don't have the physical one, you can use the strength one. Then just make sure that you substitute another free-to-play Metal Cooler into your team, possibly instead of the Cooliesa. That's probably the first unit I would remove, or the Tech Freezer. Not that they're bad in any way, shape, or form, but you can kind of build around it. The free-to-play Metal Coolers will be fine in this event, difficulty-wise, so you should be okay, as long as they're not on main rotation. So if you don't have the AGL Metal Cooler, just simply switch in a different cooler, switch in the Strength one, or whichever appropriate lead that you have. If you don't have a Wicked Bloodlines lead, you can possibly use just an extreme lead or a movie boss's lead or something like that. That might be able to make your team work, but hopefully you have some kind of Wicked Bloodlines lead, whether that's the Strength Full Power Cooler, whether that's a Terrifying Conquerors lead will also work. Pretty much anything in that realm will work for you, generally speaking. So yeah, just give it a go and try and build around it. Obviously in terms of my team build or how I've built my team, pretty simple stuff, to be entirely honest with you. Relatively normal kind of team build, nothing too crazy, I want to say. Just a quite fun little event. In terms of the overall kind of stage progression and difficulty in that, this event's pretty relaxed, I want to say. It's not too difficult. You do have some gimmicks along the way, but for the most part there's not too many massive gimmicks. Most of the units or most of the enemies you face cannot be stunned, they cannot be sealed, cannot have their attack lowered, cannot have their defense lowered. Piccolo will seal your units, which can be mildly frustrating. Obviously that can give you some relative complications. But in terms of the overall difficulty of this event, I think the Wicked Bloodlines team scales very well. Not to mention, of course, that the cooler, the Strength Cooler, does indeed carry a lot of the workload. So if I can suggest anything, I would suggest bringing a Strength Friend Cooler. Generally speaking, he does quite well. Now the final phase is against a int enemy. So if that helps you in terms of team building, you can kind of progress from there. Generally speaking, I find that the final phase hits relatively hard. You're going to see later on what happens to Tech Cooler. He does take a little bit of damage, even though he has quite built up defense, but it's nothing on the levels of red zone. Yeah, it's not going to completely ruin your day or anything. The fortunate thing is that the AGL phase comes quite early on, so strength units are relatively safe in this event. So if you are looking for options, maybe you're looking at which metal cooler to bring, strength units are generally quite fine. I found that strength units did quite well overall. I think this Goku is the only AGL phase of the entire event. So yeah, generally speaking, I found that everything went quite smoothly. Overall, I don't think the event was that hard. I think the roster of units that you can use to complete the challenges is very good. The free-to-play coolers are serviceable, metal coolers I should say. You have the tech cooler, which is just a unit that's designed for this event. You know, his support, his stacking, his defense build-up, all a great free-to-play option. You've got Prime Battle Freezer, who's still a very, very good floating unit. And yeah, just overall you have a very strong lineup. Strength Cooler, not to mention, is also an incredibly powerful unit. He does a really good job and does a huge amount of damage. So yeah, generally speaking, I found that the event was not too hard. In terms of servicing it, I mean, if you look at my team, I do have, Tech, free-to-play cooler, Strength, Metal free-to-play cooler, Prime Battle Strength, Freezer, and I also have the Int Metal Cooler Army. I mean, yes, they are, Rainbow and Easy 8, but the Metal Cooler Army doesn't even have their Easy 8 yet. So, generally speaking, the team works pretty well. Obviously, there are some crucial elements. Like I said, you can swap out the AGL Metal Cooler for, the Strength Cooler, and then you probably just want to bring Golden Freezer or someone that's a tank in that situation, because you've lost the AGL Metal Cooler. And then you probably want to just switch out Cooliezer for another metal cooler, just to balance things out and to still complete your mission. And that's generally the best habit. Obviously, this tech phase would be scary, but they don't really hit hard enough to pose a threat to AGL Metal Cooler, and they won't really pose a threat to any other AGL Wicked Bloodline units that you might run. They will probably hit the AGL free-to-play Metal Cooler quite badly, so I would suggest maybe not bringing him, since these guys are quite late into the fight. So, he's not necessarily the greatest unit. If I can suggest any Metal Coolers to bring, it would probably be the physical one or a strength one, considering that strength seems to have a pretty favorable typing overall in this event. With that being said, guys, it's a pretty decent event. It's quite obviously based on the Cooler movies. I think everyone can kind of see that. But yeah, generally speaking, I think it is quite straightforward. Personally speaking, I don't find it to be hugely difficult. I think it definitely is a good balance of Infinite Dragon Ball history. I just think the units, especially the LR Strength Cooler and the free-to-play options, are pretty strong for this kind of event. Like, if you look at Tech Cooler as a unit, he is basically designed for this event. So it is very difficult to just say okay, well, we're going to build a team this way, because he's very good in this kind of event. He supports also all the other units as well, making them progressively stronger. Like I said, Prime Battle Freezer is great in that third slot, just kind of floating around. Getting his, greatly raising attack and defense, his huge damage stats as well. You've got the AGL Metal Cooler, who does huge damage here. You've just got a really good team. Lots of healing, and I mean, we don't even have the physical LR Cooler in the team or anything. We don't even have any crazy LRs ourselves in the team. It's not like we're rocking some huge LRs or anything to make this team work. We're just rocking a very standard lineup. Some really decent DFEs. Obviously, Easy 8, the Tech Freezer, and the AGL Cooler, who are both very good DFEs. But I think, for the most part, the team runs of its own accord. I think it just runs super smoothly. We're not even going to take more than one turn. We're not going to use an item. We're not going to use anything. I wanted to see how well Tech Cooler would tank with around 300k defense. He does take quite a bit of damage, but for type disadvantage for 300k, That means Goku and Vegeta are maybe hitting a 600k super attack. That will be challenging to a lot of new players. It's not to disregard the super attack or anything like that. It's not to say that the super attack, is not good or anything. But it's just to say that basically, if a 300k tech unit is surviving the attack, you should be generally okay. With around 200k, 180,000 on other units, you won't die from the super, so you should be more than fine. Remember, I didn't use any items or anything, so you guys can more than happily use items. There is absolutely no reason to not use items, literally. So yeah, you should be more than fine. So for me, it was a fun event, very quick. Probably one of the easiest challenge requirements, just considering the strength of the Metal Cooler free-to-play options, the strength of the Wicked Bloodlines team, the strength of the friend LR Cooler. I think, finishing all those time-gated missions and that was just very, very simple. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's still a lot of fun. A lot of players can give it a try, and it's a great excuse to use units like Tech, free-to-play Cooler, and just everyone in general. But yeah, that's basically it for me. I think that's everything in regards to this event. You guys can take it on how best you want to. Let me know in the comments if you need any help building a team or if you're still struggling. And I will see you guys in the next one. But yeah, until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.